and welcome to a new video. Today is going to be another sketchbook session where I fill a spread in this black sketchbook that I have. I started, as I usually do with these oil painting spreads, by sketching out my ideas with a white watercolor pencil. What inspired me for this spread was that I knew from the start that I wanted to paint a reindeer. I figured since it is now the start of December and we're getting more into winter that I would fill a spread with a few different winter animals along with some other holiday things. And so I thought of some other animals that were more winter themed or that kind of just reminded me of those animals in the snow. So along with my reindeer, I thought of a snow leopard and a cardinal. I just thought that those would all look good together in a little spread. I also wanted to make it a little more holiday themed, so I added in some candy canes making a heart, and then a couple more additions which you'll see throughout the video. And then similar to if you saw my last video, I did a little happy fall y'all saying. For this one, I decided to do a happy holidays in the top right corner with a strand of Christmas lights. As usual, I looked for all of these images and found them on copyright-free websites just so that I didn't have to worry about using someone else's photography. And for this left side, I knew I wanted to put the cardinal on top of the snow leopard's head to make them interact a little more than just placing all three animals just randomly on the pages. I'm still new to painting birds, and I definitely want to keep practicing because although I know this is just a little sketch and was very quick in my sketchbook, I do wish I added some more details to it and got more of that feather look. Although I do like just focusing on mainly the shape and the silhouette in these smaller sketches too, since that's also important in practicing. Usually what's easiest for me in these little sketchbook spreads is to just put a base layer down of the paint in the section that I'm working on, and then I can go back in and add details over top. It's usually harder with adding darker shades on top of lighter shades since the paint is still wet and it can be hard to get those deep shadows. So for larger sections of shadows, I will add those in first. But for the most part, I can add in those details on top of the base coat that I do. This was a quick little bird for me to paint. It didn't take very long, but I kind of wish I spent a little longer on the details. Honestly, with all of these, I'm trying to be quicker in my sketchbook, but I still get caught up in wanting to make sure all of my paintings are as realistic as possible, so it is harder for me to back off on the details. So even though this isn't my favorite spread, and I feel like I could have done a little more with these animals, I know that it is also part of the process of learning new techniques and figuring out what works best for you. So in this snow leopard painting, I really ran into the issue of trying to put in the dark shapes of the patches of fur onto the lighter base coat. The dark paint just never shows up as dark when you're painting it on top of very light colors. And for the base coat, I wanted to make sure the snow leopard wasn't just pure white, so I did want to add in those blues and purples for more of the shadow areas, and then some more yellows and reds into the highlights, and some of the fur is a little bit of those colors anyway. For these pages in my sketchbook using oil paint, I have to think a little bit differently and go about them a little bit differently than how I would with normal paintings, because most paintings I do a base coat across the whole painting first before then moving into the details, and then I work from left to right with the details. But with these quick paintings, when I'm only doing one layer, I do tend to finish a section at a time working from left to right, so then I don't have to worry about possibly smudging if I try and go back and paint on the left side when the right side is painted. But of course, certain details I do leave to the end, or just any other extra little details that I want to add. think I might try painting another snow leopard in my sketchbook. I just feel like this one came out a little muddy and just not exactly the way I was hoping, so I would like to practice with them a little bit more. And I also think I want to push the colors and do more blue and more red and yellow, things like that, into the highlights and the shadows. Just make it a little bit more extreme with the colors so that it doesn't just look pure white. I just think snow leopards are also just really fun and cute. I love all their different spots. That's definitely a challenge to do in fur though. I decided to add in this little snowflake in the top left corner. Originally, I thought I was going to add just a plain star or something like that, just to add something to fill up the space. But then I remembered snowflakes and thought that that would be a perfect addition. They're also pretty fun and simple to paint since every snowflake is so unique. I did use a reference photo for this one though, but again, it's not perfect and it doesn't have to be exact to the picture. And of course I added some white splatter, which I love to do on these sketchbook pages. This was also a fun, quick reindeer that I did on this right side page. I like this reference picture that I found of the reindeer just standing in the snow, looking ahead. I tend to do a lot of just close-up of heads of animals, so it's good to practice these full bodies to get used to the anatomy and just the proportions of doing a full body versus just focusing on the details of the head of an animal. I also just like the contrast of this full body, more of a silhouette, compared to the close-ups of the bird and the snow leopard on the other page. I was originally going to keep him just kind of standing, floating there on the page, but since he was standing in snow in the reference picture, I figured it would be good to just add in at least a little hint of snow beneath his feet just to ground him a little bit on the page. His face was really small in this painting, so I didn't get to add too much detail into his head. This one was more so just focusing on the different shapes that make up his body and the antlers. Very good for me since I tend to overcomplicate and spend too long on the details, so having him be this small helped a lot, so I could back off from all of those other extra details that really aren't needed in a sketchbook spread like this. When thinking about this spread and knowing that I wanted to do a reindeer, I also knew that I would want to add in Christmas lights to the antlers. I decided to add a little red string around the antlers, which would then lead into the little Happy Holidays sign on the top right. And then I went back in and added in some red, green, and yellow lights to the string. I added in this little mistletoe to the crease of the page because I just felt like there was this space missing, there needed to be something there, and I also felt like there needed to be some more green on the page to make it a little bit more cohesive and so that it wasn't just mostly red and white and neutral colors. Helps make it a little more festive too. Let me know if you want to see any more spreads like this, either winter themed or if you have a specific theme that you'd like to see me paint. I would love to hear your suggestions. These spreads are fun because they're kind of just little memories of the season or just the time that I complete them. It's fun to look back on them and just see what was going on, what I was thinking about, what I was interested in, things like that. I decided to finish this page off with a little yellow star with another little star inside of that star. Lots of stars. And then just added the date that I completed the page on. A few more splatters of white paint for some snowflakes, I guess, and that is the page complete. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video and listening to me ramble a little bit as I filled in this spread. Please like this video and let me know in the comments what other types of videos you'd like to see from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!